English Time Podcast.
Helping you speak English with confidence, naturally.
Hello, wonderful listeners. Welcome back to English Time Podcast, your cozy corner for English fluency, confidence, and connection. I'm Emma.
And I'm Henry. Thanks for spending a little time with us today. It really means a lot. So grab your coffee, get comfortable, and stay with us, because something tells me today's episode is going to sound very, very familiar.
Today, we're talking about eating at a restaurant. We spend years learning vocabulary, dishes, ingredients, flavors, but when the real moment comes, somehow the words don't always come with it.
Because here's the truth. Restaurants aren't just about food. They're a kind of social performance. The waiter walks up to your table, looks right at you, pen ready, and suddenly your English disappears.
And the frustrating part is you actually do know the words. You've studied them. You've practiced them. But in that moment, when someone asks, "Are you ready to order?" everything just stops. It's the ultimate test of your fluency because you're hungry, you're out of your comfort zone, and you don't want to make a mistake.
So, has that ever happened to you? Let me be honest, it happened to me. A few years ago, back when my spoken English was still pretty rough, I went to a very nice restaurant, what you might call a proper establishment.
Ah, an establishment. A place with a certain level of formality and reputation. Think white tablecloths, a menu with no pictures, the kind of place where everything feels a little more polished.
Exactly, and I could already feel myself getting nervous. Then the waiter came over with that calm, professional smile and said, "What can I get for you tonight?"
The pressure moment.
And even though I had practiced the vocabulary in my head 100 times, I completely froze. I looked at him, pointed at the menu, and said, "I want meat and water, please."
Like a kid in a restaurant for the very first time.
I wanted to disappear into the floor. But if that kind of panic sounds familiar, you're definitely in the right place. Because today isn't about teaching you how to technically order food. It's about helping you sound like a real person. Warm, natural, confident. Not like a phrase book speaking for you.
And if you're looking for English that feels like real life, not textbook English, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps us out. Plus, you can find the link to the free PDF transcript in the description below. It's a great way to help these phrases really stick.
There's a big difference between sounding correct and sounding human. You could say, "I would like the chicken, please." Or you could say, "The chicken sounds good. I'll go with that."
One sounds like something you memorized. The other sounds like something you actually mean.
And by the end of this episode, you'll have the phrases, the mindset, and the confidence to sound like yourself in English. So here's our plan. We're going to walk through an entire restaurant experience together, from stepping through the front door all the way to paying the bill and walking out.
And at every single step, we'll show you what most learners say and what a relaxed, confident speaker would say instead. And honestly, this is one of those skills that changes everything. Because the moment you can handle yourself in a restaurant smoothly, without panic, you start trusting your English in all kinds of situations. It's like a confidence unlock. All right, let's walk in.
So, you step into a crowded, beautiful restaurant, and the host looks at you. The instinct for a lot of learners is to walk up, look totally stressed, and say, "I want a table for two."
Grammatically, works fine, but socially, it sounds like you're giving a command to a machine. I want a table. No warmth, no softness, just a demand.
So instead of demanding a table, a native speaker will use what we call a softening question. If you don't have a reservation, you walk up, smile, and say, "Hi there, do you happen to have any room for two?"
Do you happen to? Adding "do you happen to" before a request is like wrapping it in a warm blanket. It lowers the pressure completely. It says, I know you're busy, and it's totally okay if the answer is no.
And when you give people the space to say no, they usually go out of their way to tell you yes.
So true. That little bit of politeness goes a long way. And if you already have a reservation, even simpler. Hi, I have a reservation under Henry. Not my name is Henry, just under Henry. That's how native speakers say it.
All right, so the host seats you, the menus arrive, you're looking at this massive list of food, and the waiter approaches.
And this is usually where the first tiny moment of panic happens. The waiter smiles and asks, "Are you ready to order?" And suddenly, you feel this intense pressure.
Oh yeah, instead of reading the menu, you just point at the first thing you see because you don't want them to wait. A lot of learners feel stuck, and they say something robotic like, "Give us 5 minutes."
Which can sound just a little bit like a command. But you don't have to rush, and you don't have to be bossy. You just need a phrase to buy yourself some time. A native speaker will simply say, "Could we get a couple more minutes?"
Could we get a couple more minutes? I love that. It's polite, it's soft, and it takes the pressure off entirely. You can actually relax and look at the menu. And once you do, they'll almost always ask if you want to start with something small. They'll ask, "Would you like to start with an appetizer?"
An appetizer. That's a word that trips a lot of people up because it sounds so formal. But if you look closely, you can see the root word hiding inside it, appetite. An appetizer is simply a small dish designed to open your appetite before the main event.
Like a small salad, some garlic bread, maybe some soup. Nothing heavy, just something to warm you up.
And if you're listening right now, think about this for a second. What's your favorite appetizer? What do you usually start with at a restaurant? Even just thinking the answer in English right now, that's real practice.
Good, so appetizers are ordered. Now comes the big moment, the main course. And this is where we usually go right back to robot mode. I want the salmon. Or we just ask, what is good?
Asking what is good is totally fine, but it doesn't really build any connection. A native speaker doesn't just order food, they engage the waiter as an expert.
And the absolute best way to do this is to narrow it down to 2 choices and ask for help.
Narrow it down to 2 choices. Show us how that works.
When the waiter comes over, you just give them 2 specific options. You say, "I'm completely torn between the salmon and the steak."
I'm completely torn. What a great phrase. Torn literally means to be ripped in half, like a piece of paper, pulled in 2 completely different directions.
Right, it means your brain is split in 2 directions. It shows that everything on their menu looks so delicious you simply cannot make the decision alone.
So you're completely torn between A and B, and then you follow it up with a really natural question. You look at the waiter and ask, "Which way would you lean?"
Which way would you lean? Instead of asking, "What do you recommend?" which usually gets that rehearsed menu reading answer, you use the word lean. You're asking the waiter for their personal, genuine opinion.
And here's why this works so well. By saying, "I'm torn between the steak and the fish, which way would you lean?" You're putting yourself on the same level as the waiter. You're treating them like a friend who knows the food, not like a servant.
And when you do that, something changes. They drop the customer service smile and give you a real recommendation. I've done this so many times. The waiter's whole face lights up. Suddenly they're telling you, "Oh, honestly, the salmon is incredible today."
It takes all the pressure off you. You just let the waiter do the heavy lifting. And the best part? You get great food and the waiter feels respected. Everybody wins.
So we've covered the first half of the restaurant journey, walking in, getting seated, and ordering like a natural, confident speaker. After the break, we'll talk about what happens once the food actually arrives, how to react, how to handle surprises, and how to leave with style.
Welcome back, everyone. Before the break, we talked about walking in, getting a table, and ordering food with real confidence. Now your food has finally arrived. And this is where things get interesting, because this is the moment where a lot of people suddenly don't know what to say.
So, the waiter walks over and asks, "How is everything tasting tonight?" If the food is absolutely amazing, you could say, honestly, this is completely out of this world. Or, if you really want to impress, please give my compliments to the chef. Or simply, could you tell the chef this is amazing?
I love that. It's such a small thing, but it really changes the energy at the table. And honestly, it absolutely makes the chef's whole day.
But sometimes things don't go so well. Imagine you order a beautiful piece of steak. You take a bite, and it's completely rubbery.
Rubbery, literally like chewing rubber. You chew, and it just won't break down. It's like trying to eat a car tire. You know, the thick rubber wheels on a car?
Yeah, awful feeling. Or maybe you order a nice hot soup and it's completely overseasoned, like the chef accidentally poured the whole bottle of salt into the soup.
That's such a vivid picture. And overseasoned is actually the polite way to say it. Saying too salty directly to a waiter feels a little aggressive. Overseasoned delivers the same message, but softer.
Or the worst case, the dish is simply inedible. Inedible means it is literally impossible to eat. Completely raw, completely burnt. You cannot physically or safely eat it.
But here's the problem. When you need to say something is wrong, this is exactly where most learners just completely freeze. Because nobody wants to be the person shouting, "This is raw," or "There is a mistake."
It feels so aggressive, especially in a second language. We're already terrified of causing a scene. So instead of speaking up, we just sit there, force a smile, and quietly eat the rubbery steak.
And that's such a painful feeling because you know what you want to say, but you don't have the right words to say it gently. It's like your English has a hole in it right where you need it most.
Exactly. But you don't have to suffer in silence. There's an incredibly elegant phrase that native speakers use to complain without starting a war. It's the hate to be a pain opening line.
I hate to be a pain. A pain in this context means a nuisance, an annoyance, a bother. So what you're really saying is, I really hate to annoy you right now, but
And watch what happens. It completely takes the tension out of the room before the complaint even starts. It's like a protective shield for both of you.
so you smile and combine it with those words from earlier. I hate to be a pain, but the steak is a little rubbery. Or, I hate to be a pain, but the soup is a bit overseasoned. And if they bring you the wrong food entirely, you can say, I'm so sorry to bother you, but I think there might be a slight mix-up.
A slight mix-up. Notice what you didn't say. You didn't point your finger and say, you made a mistake. You said a mix-up, a small, innocent word. Nobody is to blame. It's just a tiny confusion floating in the air.
It protects everyone's feelings. The waiter doesn't feel attacked, and if you actually need them to take the plate away, you don't bark, "Take this away." You say, "Could we have this sent back to the kitchen?"
Could we have this sent back? Using a phrase like, I hate to be a pain, but could we have this sent back? That shows total control of the situation. You're not a victim. You're not an angry customer. You're just choosing to be kind about fixing a problem.
And you know what? This touches on something deeper. When we learn English, we spend so much time memorizing vocabulary and grammar rules. But real fluency isn't just about being correct. It's about knowing how to handle tricky situations smoothly. Without these softening phrases, we just stay quiet and accept whatever's handed to us.
But having these phrases gives you real permission to speak up for yourself safely. And when you know how to navigate a tricky moment smoothly, the fear just melts away.
Let's take a breath here for a second. We just went from the highest high, out of this world, to the lowest low. I hate to be a pain. If your brain is feeling a little full right now, that's completely normal. Just relax and let it sink in.
Yeah, and remember, you don't need to memorize everything today. Just pick the one phrase that excites you the most. That's your starter.
Good. Now, the food was incredible, and you're completely full. But the portion sizes, especially in places like the United States, are often massive. You've got half a plate of food left over.
The leftovers. And this is actually a big cultural moment. In some cultures, leaving food on your plate is polite. It shows you were fully fed. But in America and many other Western countries, taking your food home is actually a huge compliment. It means the food was too good to leave behind.
But how do you ask for that? If you just hold up your plate and say, "Give me a bag," it sounds really strange. You don't put a beautiful steak directly into a plastic bag.
Right. In the past, people used to ask for a doggy bag, pretending the food was for their dog because they felt embarrassed to take it home. But today, nobody feels embarrassed anymore. Taking leftovers home is just smart and totally normal.
You don't need an excuse. The modern magic word is simply box. When the waiter is clearing the table, you casually say, "Could we get a box for this?"
Could we get a box for this? Or even better, turn it into a verb. Could we box this up? Supernatural. And you just scored a free lunch for tomorrow.
You just won tomorrow's lunch. I love that. And speaking of American restaurant culture, there's actually one more thing we should mention before you pay.
Tipping. In many countries, tipping is optional, just a small extra if the service was really great. But in the United States, tipping is expected. It's part of the culture.
The standard is usually 15 to 20% of your total bill, and the reason is simple. In the US, waiters often earn a very low base salary. Tips are a big part of their actual income.
I remember my first time in an American restaurant, I left like 5%. The waiter gave me this look, and I had no idea why.
Oh no, yeah, that would do it. So when you tip well, you're not just being generous, you're paying for a real service. And once you know that, it actually feels pretty natural.
Okay, and that brings us to the very last step. You've had a great meal, your leftovers are boxed up, you're ready to go home, and the universal instinct is to wave your hand in the air and yell, "Check, please."
That's something you see in movies all the time, but in a nice establishment, shouting "for the check" can feel really demanding. It ruins that relaxed mood you just spent 2 hours building.
You want to keep that calm, sophisticated feeling all the way to the end. You want what we call the graceful exit. And the secret to the graceful exit is a tiny time buffer phrase, "whenever you're ready."
Whenever you're ready. It tells the waiter, "I have a request, but your time and your workload are completely respected."
Right. Waiters are constantly juggling 5 different tables at once, so instead of barking, "Check, please," you catch the waiter's eye, give a friendly nod, and say, "No rush at all, but could we take care of the bill whenever you're ready?"
Take care of the bill. So much smoother than "bring me the bill" or "I want to pay." Taking care of it sounds like you're both just sorting out a small thing together. We use it everywhere. "Can you take care of the dog while I'm away? I'll take care of the dishes tonight." Relaxed, easy, zero pressure.
No rush at all. Could we take care of the bill whenever you're ready? If you use that entire phrase, you will walk out of those restaurant doors feeling like you entirely own the English language.
And that is a beautiful place to wrap up our main conversation. We just walked through the whole journey, door to door, walking in, asking for recommendations, handling disasters, giving compliments, boxing up leftovers, understanding tipping, and finishing with the graceful exit. That's a full restaurant experience in English.
And honestly, I wish I had this episode when I was standing in that restaurant years ago, pointing at the menu and saying, "Meat." But here's what I've learned since then. Real fluency is not about knowing every single word in the dictionary. It's about having 2 or 3 phrases that make you feel safe. Once you have those, the confidence naturally follows.
Absolutely. And since we covered a massive amount of language today, let's take a quick moment to lock it all in. Welcome to the Confidence Kit. This is where we collect the absolute best vocabulary and expressions from today's episode and show you exactly how to use them.
These aren't just definitions to memorize. These are real social tools to help you sound natural, confident, and polite. We've got 6 descriptive words and 6 conversational phrases. You definitely don't need to memorize all 12 today. Just listen through and see which ones light up for you.
All right, let's start with the descriptive words. Number 1, establishment. Use this to describe a restaurant with real formality and reputation. Your local burger place? That's just a restaurant, and that's totally fine. But if the tablecloths are white and the menu has no pictures, that's an establishment. For example, we're celebrating our anniversary at a very nice establishment downtown. You could also say, that new place on the corner looks like a real establishment.
Ooh, I love that word. It just sounds important, doesn't it? Okay, number 2, appetizer. A small dish that opens your appetite before the main course. Remember the root word, appetite. The appetizer wakes it up. For example, would you like to start with an appetizer? The common mistake is confusing it with a side dish. A side dish comes with your meal. An appetizer always comes first.
That's such a useful one to know. Okay, number 3, rubbery. Literally like chewing rubber. You chew and nothing breaks down. For example, I hate complaining, but this steak is a bit rubbery. You might also hear someone say, the chicken was so rubbery, I gave up after 2 bites.
I've definitely been there. All right, number 4, over-seasoned. When the chef went too heavy on the salt or the spice, the polite way to say it. For example, the soup is nice, but it's a bit over-seasoned for my taste. The common mistake is saying too salty straight to the waiter. Same message, but over-seasoned lands much softer.
That's a really classy way to handle it. Number 5, inedible. The strongest word on this list. It means something is impossible or unsafe to eat. For example, the steak was completely burnt and almost inedible. The common mistake is overusing it. Don't use this just because you didn't like the flavor. Save it for real disasters, raw chicken, burnt fish, that kind of thing.
Yeah, save that one for the real emergencies. And number 6, a slight mix-up. A gentle, polite way to say something went wrong with your order. For example, I think there was a slight mix-up with our drinks. The common mistake is adding the word your. Your mix-up instantly sounds like you're pointing fingers. Just say, a mix-up. Keep it floating in the air, blame-free.
I love that image, just floating in the air, nobody's fault. All right, now for the golden phrases. Golden phrase number 1, do you happen to? You use this to make a request softer by giving the other person room to say no. For example, hi there, do you happen to have any room for 2? And it works everywhere, not just restaurants. Do you happen to know where the nearest station is?
That one is so useful. Okay, golden phrase number 2, I'm completely torn between. Use this when you're stuck making a decision and you want to pull someone else into it. For example, I'm completely torn between the salmon and the steak tonight. And don't limit it to restaurants. This phrase works everywhere. Shopping, choosing a movie, picking a holiday destination.
I'm completely torn between continuing this episode and going to get dinner. Just kidding. Golden phrase number 3. Which way would you lean? The perfect follow-up when you are torn between 2 things. You're asking for someone's honest, personal opinion. For example, I like both dishes. Which way would you lean? The common mistake is defaulting to, what do you recommend? That often gets a scripted answer. Which way would you lean gets a real one.
Such a smooth combo, those two. Golden phrase number 4. I hate to be a pain, but your protective shield for complaints. It takes all the tension out of the room before you even say what's wrong. For example, I hate to be a pain, but my steak is a little rubbery. And this works way beyond restaurants. At a hotel, you could say, I hate to be a pain, but the air conditioning doesn't seem to be working.
That is such an important reminder. It's all about the delivery. Golden phrase number 5. Could we box this up? The most natural way to ask to take your leftover food home. For example, we're completely full. Could we box this up? The common mistake is asking, can I have a bag? Steak doesn't go in a bag. It goes in a box. That one word makes all the difference.
Bag versus box. Such a tiny detail, but it really matters. And finally, golden phrase number 6, whenever you're ready. Your graceful exit, your time buffer. It shows you're relaxed and you respect the other person's time. For example, no rush at all, but could we take care of the bill whenever you're ready? And you can use this outside restaurants too. I've sent you the file, just take a look whenever you're ready.
That's one of my favorites from today. So those are your 6 descriptive words and 6 golden phrases. That is a full dozen of new conversational tools. But please, don't try to memorize all 12 today. That's a fast track to feeling overwhelmed. Just pick 1 or 2 that feel the most natural to you. The ones that made you think, oh, I want to try that.
And here's your fluency challenge for the week. Think about the entire restaurant journey we just walked through, from walking in the door to the graceful exit. Which of these conversational tools or descriptive words are you most excited to try next time you eat out? Let us know down in the comments below.
Even writing a short sentence like, next time I'm going to try saying I'm torn is a great step forward. We read every single comment and we love seeing your progress.
Thank you so much for walking through this journey with us today. We genuinely appreciate your time. Take care of yourself out there, keep practicing gently, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Your progress so far has already been wonderful. If you'd like to keep going and feel even more confident with your English, feel free to check out the next video or take a look at some of the other ones we've picked for you.